GingerGM.
Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius, and it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring, said the famous philosopher Marilyn Monroe. And I love that comment, and I totally agree with it. And this game I'm going to show you now is an absolutely crazy game. It seems that both players have done far too much angel dust before playing this game. With the white pieces, we have the blindfold king, and one of my favourite players currently, he's an absolute genius, there's no doubt about it, Timur Gareyev. And his young opponent is Fedja Zulfic from Australia, and this was played in the Gold Coast Championships over in Australia. Now, Timur, I'm going to show you a couple of his games because I really do appreciate the way he plays, and he's a very unique individual. He was born in Tashkent early on in his life, but he spent a lot of his time over in America. He has the world record for playing 48 games simultaneous of chess, but blindfolded, in Las Vegas in 2016. So each chessboard 64 squares, he played 48 times 64 in his mind. Unbelievable. Now in this game, he starts with a opening which is favoured by murderers and madmen. G4, the so-called Grob variation, and this is a really outrageous way to start the game. His opponent played H5, meeting G4 in also a crazy way. Now this game is so much fun. What do we do against such an H5 move, the Harry push? Well, Timur thought, okay, I'm going to push on. G5, already getting a very unique position on the board. Remember, the centre is very important, and both sides are disregarding the basic foundations of chess here by avoiding playing the centre. Black now pushed on with H4, why the hell not? And white now pushed on with a pawn sacrifice G6, a position that has never been seen before after 3 moves of chess. Or is this chess? I think so. And the point of this is, when black captures on G6, Timur is thinking that this pawn may well be a target that he can attack later on, if he can get a queen into that square or a bishop. He thinks this pawn sacrifice will give him good opportunities. So he develops, and in order to create some piece of art, you need to develop. Knight to F3. Maybe this knight can even jump in and attack that pawn. Black puts a pawn in the centre at last, the centre being very important, and Timur now plays C4, striking out against the centre. Black decides to push on, and this pawn is now a bit of a thorn in Timur's position, but because he's already sacrificed his G-pawn, he now has an open line there, which he uses with rook G1, pressurizing the G6 square. Queen D6 is played, defending the G6 square, and now another ridiculous looking move. C5, and every move here, it's just from another world. It really is chess from another planet. And the idea of this is trying to distract the queen away from G6 so that white can maybe come in there. Black says, okay, I'll take that pawn. Queen takes C5. And now, rather than taking on G6, Timur plays B4. A double pawn sack line. And one of the things that I've seen Timur is fantastic at doing, he can neutralize the energy in his pieces, and this is a real skill. He reminds me of Macau Tao like this. Macau Tao, ex-world champion, had a similar way of playing, releasing the energy in his pieces. And this move B4 is trying to distract the queen again, in order maybe to get a bishop to A3, to attack that queen, getting tempos for every white piece. Now maybe black should have taken that, but he went back, and now Timur, look how he uses his pieces. The queen is here, knight to A3. He's aiming to get all of his minor pieces, the knights and bishops, into the game to gain tempo and to attack black's position. Now here, I think black plays wrong. He joins in the fun and plays rook to H5. And this is kind of a game, you could even say it looks like 2 8-year-olds are playing. No offense to the players, but when you look at it deeper, It's actually a game. Timur's a very strong grandmaster, and his opponent's a very strong up-and-coming player, and they're just playing from another world. But there's a good thing to learn here. When your opponent plays in such an outrageous way as white has done here, if I was black in this position, I would be very tempted to join in the chaos. But if you want to win the game, normal development, don't lose your head. If your opponent plays crazy, keep your cool. Normal developing moves such as knight to f6 would make a lot more sense. Now after rook to h5, Timur uses his pieces more. Knight to c4, attacking the queen. And now black decides to take the pawn. Very risky decision, but it does attack the knight. Timur opens up his bishop and defends the knight at the same time, e3. And now black takes on e3. And again here we see typical Timur. A very decent move here would just be to take that pawn back when white has 3 pieces developed and also chances to attack the queen, for example bishop a3. So a very interesting position, but Timur plays bishop a3 straight away. He does not care about pawns, quick developments. And this works well because black's pieces, his knights and bishops, are all at home and the black king is in the middle of the board. So development is key to set up an attack. The queen has to move. No, it doesn't. First of all, black takes a pawn with check. White obviously doesn't want to swap queens off because when you're trying to attack, you want to keep queens on the board. White is trying to attack because he's multiple pawns down, so he keeps pieces on the board. Knight on f takes d2. And now black plays a crazy move. Had black moved the queen somewhere like queen to c3, where does that queen go? If you look at the queen, it doesn't have many squares it can escape to. If queen to b5, there's a nasty tactic here that white can play involving an ambush with that little guy there on f1. Can you see the move, the winning move? Leave it in the comments. But maybe queen c3 was better, but after a move such as this, Timur could have played bishop b2, queen b4 and got a draw by repeating the position, but I'm sure he would have played something like rook b1, bringing another piece into the attack with some ambush ideas with the bishop. So black played rook to e5. Whew. Give me some more CP. Don't ever do that, kids. It's not good for you. Not that I ever have and never will. But this is really drugged up chess. That's all I can say. It's really from another world. It's unworldly. And the point is, well, I think white should take this one. You've got to accept gifts when they're given to you. Otherwise, it's rude, isn't it? Take those gifts. Black wants to take on a3. But I think white still has a big attack here with bishop d3. Massive threats here. But okay, that's maybe not as much fun as what white played. White thought, right, well, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go bishop e2 because I want to develop another piece and I want to keep my threats in the air. I'm also still attacking your queen, so the queen has to move. Queen c3. And now we gain another tempo, rook c1, and all of white's pieces, look at them. They're harmoniously jumping into life like a beautiful Mozart orchestra. Piece of music, should I say. And here, black plays rook takes e2 because the queen has no squares. This was his saving idea. The queen takes on e2, queen h3, and now rook takes g6. And we can actually see this whole plan of white's has been very successful because every white piece is partying. They're all dancing around the board with a look of joy on their faces. Okay, black is material up with the pawns, loads of pawns, but look at these guys, they're sleeping. They need to get out of bed. So black develops, bishop f5, getting one piece out, creating a threat. The next move is fantastic. Why go backwards when you can go forwards? And again, this shows just the energy that white is using during the course of this masterpiece. Why move the rook when you can go queen h5? Lining the queen up against the black king, finding a way through, threatening a rook move with a devastating check, an ambush again on the king. So the king retreats, king d8. Had black taken the rook, gaining more material, white's attack becomes too strong. The king has to move, and now that king is lined up on an open line, so something like knight to e4, rook d1 is coming, and black will not survive this. For example, knight f6, knight g5 even comes. The knight is flying in, the rook is flying in. Let's say black takes another pawn, the greedy little so-and-so. Something like knight to e6 check, king c8, and now knight d6 check. And this position just demonstrates the power of white's pieces. After that piece is taken, rook c7 is a beautiful checkmate. The king is trapped in this position here. So queen h5, the king tries to run away, king d8, and now white finds the utmost power for his pieces. Knight to f3, opening up the d file, getting the knight to attack the queen and dive potentially in with a check. Bishop takes g6, queen takes g6, and here black played knight to f6, but it's too late to develop now. But I do think the position was hopeless. Had he played queen takes f3, Timur was planning knight to e5, attacking the queen, and this position will lead to mate. There's no checks that black has, so let's say he grabs the bishop on a3. Now there's a rook d1 check, and after something like king c8, queen e8 shows the power of the 3 remaining pieces, giving checkmate. So knight to s6 was played, rook d1 check was played, knight bd7, blocking the check, knight g5. And white's pieces are just too strong in this position. The queen is attacked, so the queen moves, queen g4, and now the killer move, knight to e5. Look at those knights. They are really just dancing around like, I don't know, they're having the time of their lives. And this move forces resignation because the queen is attacked and there's going to be some devastating ideas here. For example, where should the queen move? You can't lose the queen. So let's say the queen moves to somewhere. It can't really go to f4 because then you're walking into what we call a fork, knight to e6, forking and winning. Let's say the queen goes to a4. Where else can it go? It can't really go anywhere else. Well, here there are a number of ways to put the ball in the back of the net. Maybe you guys can find ones that attract you. But one idea that attracts me here, and we've got to look for checks in this position. We've got to look at all our pieces are so active, all these guys attacking, concentrate on those pieces, look for checks, look for the finish. One idea here that attracts me is to distract the knight away from e8, so something like rook takes d7, boom! Check. That knight has to really take the rook, because if the queen takes it, you lose your queen, and after knight takes, we lose control of e8. So here, knight to e6 check, nibble, nibble, nibble. The king has to go here, and here, e8 is not defended anymore. So the queen shuffles in and says, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Checkmate. So an unbelievably amazing game from Timur, and this is, in the last couple of years, one of my favourite games I've seen. It was played in Australia this year. Timur, a Grandmaster, showing why he's such an amazing character and such an amazing player. And this game, just the opening alone, is something from another planet. It's pure madness, it's pure unique chess, and it really steps out of the norm, and that's something I like. And he really does demonstrate there why he's such a power to be reckoned with, why he's one, if not the most imaginative player in the world at this moment in time. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and do more of these quick videos in future, showing you some of my favourite games that have been played recently. Goodbye for now. I'll catch you all soon, hopefully. Cheers.